Today we want to talk about some of the real practice. We're going to talk about the fact of you're coming into a community situation. You've never lived maybe like that before. And some of the questions that have come in that I was to cover during this time is, how do you live in a community setup? How do you make a home in one room? How do you travel with kids and keep your sanity? And let me just encourage you. I'm going to tell you my own experiences. I'll give you some illustrations of how you can work at it. But as you come into this situation, know that God's going to help you. And that whatever place you find yourself, if you're on an outreach and you're in a tent, if you're living in the basement of the church or above it or in back of it, if you're in some old tenement house, that is the home your children are going to have right then and there. And so wherever you are, that's going to be your home. Don't live temporarily, because you just go from one temporary situation to another and you never establish yourself. And so come into this situation as if this is going to be your home for a while and make it look like your little home. I was trying to think this morning about how to help you do this. How can I talk about all of these adjustments that you would have to make? And I think what I'd like to do is I would just like for us to envision a few scenarios. And then we'll walk through those together, and maybe we'll find some things that are helpful through that. The first thing is, if you're going to live in one room, or you're going to live in a new culture or in a new situation, you got to get yourself organized, and you got to try to figure out how to take care of the necessities of life and be as self-sufficient as you possibly can. You may be living in a community where there's a public dining room, where there's a laundry room, where all those facilities are. But remember, every time you go out of the door, particularly if you have little kids, you're going to take your little kids with you. That's going to make everything a big deal. And I have found in traveling, in whatever I do, I try to be ready to take care of myself. I don't always have to, but I'm prepared for that. So think in terms of systems that will help you not lose energy by having to mix with people every time you want to do anything. That's part of what wears us out in community, is that whatever you do, there's interaction. And and it isn't that you don't like those people, but there's no time to build up your own battery. So if when you wake up in the morning and you go for breakfast, you stand in line and you talk to people at breakfast. Do you understand what I'm saying? Is that everywhere, that's where you would lose energy. And there's some days you would just like a little more quiet time by yourself. So think in terms of what you can do to keep yourself self-sufficient in your one little room, even when it's not necessary. Then you have that option. The other thing is you have to be well organized. Now, some of us are more gifted in this than others. And so if you're coming into a situation like this and you know you're not very well organized, that you don't manage well, find somebody that does. I have friends that I have helped. I've just lived like this afresh when I was in Tonga a year ago. And we were all living in the one-room situation, or in our folly in the bathroom down the road, and not enough water and lots of mud and all those kinds of things. So all of this is very real to me. And I have just one of my dearest friends who is just no good at putting any of this thing together. And she has 3 boys. She says, help me. And I just had such fun helping her. So most of us that are kind of good at this, we enjoy helping other people. So if you see somebody that looks like they're somewhat in their right mind and they seem to be able to, that helps qualify me. I said the somewhat. Then get them to help you. Also think about the kind of person that you are. What is your temperament? Now, I'm a very good manager and I'm quite well organized, but I'm not exceptionally tidy. So if you can be well organized and not be real tidy and neat. Or you can be real neat, but not very well organized. And that kind of makes a difference to how you're going to put your little one room together, all right? Also think in terms, what is the energy drain for you? How can you live and have some kind of life of your own with living in just one room? So now I'll give you some of the tricks that I have done. This is not the way to do it. You'll know for yourself. If I'm coming into a one-room situation, the first thing I do is look at the bed and see how high I can get that bed off the floor. If you have to just put wooden blocks underneath the four corners, because the higher the bed is, the better place you have to store stuff. Because the big problem in living in one room is where to put the stuff. So I always get the bed up as high as I can so I can put all the stuff underneath. And then you make a little flounce that goes all around the bed, and nobody knows just how much stuff is in there. If you're a person that's quite tidy, you're not going to need to have everything covered over. You can have open shelves because you'll keep everything tidy. I will not, but I hate clutter. And so if you were coming into my one-room situation, you'd find the bed up pretty high because I'd have a whole lot of things you don't know anything about underneath there. When we had children living in one room, I'd always have a table, a round table, which you can make easily and get some plyboard, make a 36-inch round, get some legs and put on it, and then all you have to do is you have the fabric go, the tablecloth, all the way to the floor. And underneath there, you have all the kids' toys. And they can be taken out, they can be shoved underneath there. Somebody comes in, it looks nice. Baskets are wonderful. And so you use lots of baskets, and if you're like me again, and it may not all get in there just right, then you have baskets with lids, and they're very decorative, and they look nice. And you have your baskets there. That also might be a place where you keep the toys, or the dirty laundry, or your sweaters, or your towels. It's the storage of things that makes it difficult. Now, I always try to have a wash-up corner, a place where I can serve tea, all of that. You can figure out, I've done it with wooden crates. You make a couple of wooden crates, and those are where my dishes are, and you have a hot pot. I always carry a hot pot with me and an extension cord. I got an extension cord that with me now will go for 110 or 220, and it winds up about this big, and that way I can plug in when I need to plug in my computer in some place, or my coffee pot, or my hair dryer, because a lot of times you've got one outlet, behind the bed, and you can't work with that. So have a place that I would call, if I was living in my one room, this is my kitchen area. And in that kitchen area, I would be sure that I got from maybe a camping store, or you had an old bleach bottle or whatever it is. I always try to have a water supply in my room, because you can brush your teeth then without having to walk clear down. You can wash out the teacups. I usually have several things, and you can get from the camping store, those kinds that even crowd down, don't take up very much space as the water goes out of them. A couple of dish pans that you're able to wash your dishes, and you've got your water there. So you can wash your dishes, you can fix your coffee, you can brush your teeth, you can do all of those kinds of things without heading down the block, if that's how far you have to go to find the water supply. And you're able then to have breakfast for your family. You can prepare it within your room. You're able to have people over for tea and cookies. Having little round tables or anything else where you can make a tablecloth. If you have two bedstands beside you, you can put, if you don't have chest of drawers, sometimes we come into situations, friends, and there just isn't much furniture available, and you don't have the resources to do it. But again, you can use a crate, you can do whatever you have, store things in there, and then put fabric over it. If you'll just believe the Lord for a few ingredients, you can have a really cute room. You can have a really cute room. You can have, what I usually look for is some kind of coordinating kind of fabrics. Lots of times you can get sheets that are pretty big size, and you then can have your bed cover be made on a sheet. You can have all your other fabrics matching, and you walk in and think this is a really nice room. If you are in a really, really small room where you can't have a full big bed, or maybe the bed is all that will stay in the room, and there's this much space around the edges. I've lived like that too. If you have a room that has a high ceiling, you can have it made. You just get somebody to build you a platform so you have your bed way up there and your chairs underneath, and you have a little ladder and you can go up to your bed. And in a small room, you still can have your living room area and your coffee pot and those kinds of things. You can see what's important to me. And then you climb up to the top, and you still have a social area. You need to have somewhere in that one room a message center. Because that's one of the things. Fix yourself up. This is okay. This is kind of the office corner. It's amazing how many rooms you can get out of one room, all right? But you've got the calendar, and tie the pencil on. Tie a pair of little scissors. I usually have a basket in which I keep all the things that you nearly always lose or that the kids would take and never get back. And I tied on there the Scotch tape, and I tied on the scissors, and I tied on the pens. So it all in this little basket, all that junk drawer stuff that you need, and you don't have a junk drawer, you have it all in one basket, the glue and stapler and all that kind of stuff. But, as your kids get, not little kids, but as they get a little bit older, they use all those things. And then that's the tough part of living in one room kind of situation. You can lose stuff so badly. And you can't find it, so if you get it, so it can't be taken away. And then on your message center, you have a little bulletin board, your calendar, people's phone numbers, everything there, and that's on the wall somewhere, or if you have a built-in closet, like you have lots here, maybe wardrobes, you can use the door of the wardrobe inside, and that's the message center. Unless when it's out, you knock your face in it as you're walking past. But think in terms of all the things that you need to run your life and figure out, there is a way we can do this. There is a way we can do this. Think about what's bugging you. What's making this most difficult? One of the things when we were there, like in Tonga, we had these cute little follies which had a little veranda on the outside, like a porch on the outside. But because we were just building, there was mud everywhere, and you just couldn't keep your folly floor clean at all. I mean, mud that when you walked in it was like platform shoes afterwards. The layers just stuck. And so we were all mopping it. I thought, this is ridiculous. So I got a plastic deal that had a little hose on it, and on the outside the door, I fixed a place for everybody to wash their feet. Leave your shoes out there and wash your feet. And I had soap and a towel and the pan and everything ready. And for my friend with her boys, we set up a place for the boys to be able to change their shoes outside and wash, and came in with clean feet. But you can keep mopping and think this dirt's just driving me crazy, or the laundry's driving me nuts, or whatever it is, and then take it one step farther, and say, what can I do about it? What's the system that would make this thing not happen to me? Well, I could sell the kids, give away my husband. No, those are not good answers. Are you with me? Another time, when Lauren and I were living in Tonga, and the first place we were was a really small room.